What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Enter the Chat Gaming Podcast. This is the first one. Do we call it episode 1? What do we call it? I don't know what episode this
Season
would
2.
technically be.
Season 2, episode 1.
Sure. So season 2 just goes on forever now.
Yeah, pretty
Exactly.
All right. So welcome.
We're
back.
we're going the path of destiny.
Yeah, welcome. It's been a long time. I don't even know when the last. I think the last one we did was the Game Awards. Was it?
Yeah, so that would have been like what, almost
December?
a year ago from now.
Yeah, and well, first off, I'm Kneeckoh. Okay, hi everybody. I'm joined by my co-host Rico,
Hola.
and Toby has joined us.
Yeah.
So we started this. I don't even remember. Was it last summer? We started doing
Sometime.
this, and initially, I mean, Rico and I did it for like 6 months, and then our work schedules got too wonky. I started working nights. Rico was busy during the day, so like our schedules just didn't line up, and we just kind of quit recording because we all didn't have time. And Toby was here and there because he was in school. Now we're all normal adults with semi-normal jobs, and we can actually sit down to talk video games again. So we want to get back to it.
Normal adults is a bit of a stretch here.
Yeah, I would agree. But but yeah, so like we've been, I don't know, I've missed talking about it because we used to just sit and talk about whatever, and it's therapeutic, I would argue.
Yeah, because like, I mean, when you have all the gaming news that goes on, and like, you just want to like let out and like talk about someone, not just like hear yourself talk about it, but you want to get like another opinion on it. Like, okay, here's what I think, but I want to know what you think.
Yeah, when you spend as much time a week editing as I do, you hear yourself talk plenty.
you just start talking with the voices in your head.
Yeah, you hear yourself talk plenty. So I think, I mean, because this is kind of like a reboot, a soft reboot for us, I feel like we all have to introduce ourselves and like kind of say, you know, like our favorite style of game, what is our favorite platform to play games on, that kind of jazz. So let's start with Toby because he never talks.
Okay. So, I'm Toby. I'm not as big of a gamer as these two are, that's for sure. I stick to the same games that I've played throughout my entire life, and will branch off into other ones.
How many times have you played Skyrim?
Don't talk about it. Just on Steam. Here, I'll pull up Steam and look while I'm doing this. But my favorite genre is RPG, just to say that. Like, I love a good RPG that I can waste hours into. Like, okay, here, let's see. I have 527 hours on Steam alone, not including every single system, because every system that it's been on, I've had Skyrim on. So yeah, I've put an obnoxious amount into that, but I usually stick to the same games. Like, I play a lot of League of Legends as well, a lot of Smite.
Yeah, as usual.
What's your favorite platform?
Platform? Oh, see,
I don't. Can you count
I'm
as
gonna
a platform? I guess you can. You're a Steam
yeah,
Decker
I'm
now.
gonna
You're a Steam Decker now.
I guess if I ever wanted to wait that long for something, but I would probably say PC just because Game Pass is on both.
So that I feel like that's Xbox encompassed.
Yeah, it definitely is, but I play keyboard and mouse.
Nico trying to twist into saying like, so you're saying it's Xbox?
But like, I wouldn't be able to play League on my Xbox, so I have to say PC just because that's where I am.
At least not till Wild Rift comes out.
Yeah, that's not happening. I don't believe it. Fake news.
Or until Microsoft just buys it out like every other big gaming company lately.
They're next on the list.
They just have a long list. It's like, who's next? Fucking Phil Spencer just like sits in his throne room with a firelit candle, looking at his list as he crosses off the names.
All right, Rico, tell us about your gaming history, your favorite platform, all that fun stuff.
All right, my name's Rico. That's what most people call me by. Gaming history, it's a bit of a more diverse one than Tony's is. I've also played Skyrim and sucked fair enough amount of hours of, not nearly as much as buying up every version that comes out.
Talk crap.
But yeah, there's like a lot of different games. I definitely say more recently been diving more into like the indie titles just because those have been fun and unique lately. Really like the action RPG while also still enjoying some of like the more classical RPG stuff. Mainly like anything with turn base, just about enjoy. Then of course you got your shooters. You know, you got your Call of Duty, Battlefield. Last year Deathloop was one of my favorite games that came out. And then you got your classic Fortnite. I think really that's it. Yeah, I think that's all I got right now.
What's your platform
But
choice?
just platform of choice. Platform of choice, PlayStation all the way. I've basically at some point in time have had a PlayStation all the way from PS1 to now the PS5, with of course the Nintendo consoles all the side, mainly the handheld stuff. I still play my Switch more so lately, but every so often.
All right, folks, I'm Kneeckoh. I have a separate
Right.
channel called Kneeckoh Gaming. You can check
Everybody
it out.
take a seat back, get your popcorn, get ready for this one.
Oh, G-Mini. I have a separate channel, Kneeckoh Gaming. I play a lot of Switch, a lot of Pokemon. I pretty much built my channel on Pokemon and Animal Crossing. And then just other Switch stuff on the side, but mainly it's just all Nintendo Switch stuff right now. That's my platform of choice. I have all the consoles. I have a PS5 sitting next to me. I have an Xbox Series X. I have a Nintendo. I have two Switch, okay, and I have a PC. I spend all my time on a Nintendo Switch. That's where I play my games. I can take it with me on the go. I can lay on my couch and play it. I can dock it in my living room. I can dock it in my office. That's my platform. If I had to rank them, okay, it goes Switch, Xbox, PC, PlayStation.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be that.
That's just where I'm at right now. I have played all variety of games. It's a long list of games. I'm big into like RPG, anything I can grind really. MMORPGs, Monster Hunter, Pokemon, anything I can sink hundreds of hours into and just grind and grind and grind. That's my speed. I have shiny object syndrome, something fierce. So if you provide me with something to go after, whether it be a shiny Pokemon or a shiny piece of armor that can make me 10 times cooler than anybody else in the game, that's what I'm going to spend hundreds upon hundreds of hours doing. So that's me. But yeah, I play a lot of Switch stuff, like a lot of Switch. It's kind of unhealthy.
I feel like that's kind of a good segue into something I at least wanted to add it in as we sort of like reintroduce ourselves. Since it's been like almost the whole year since we last did this, I figured it'd be nice if have like just to name off any like what in like your opinion any big games or any games that have really stuck with you over the past year that you've played through.
The last year? Oh,
just any
give me
game
my
that's really
list.
like
Hold on,
come to mind that you've played.
I keep a list. Hold on. I have a
How
problem.
come that doesn't surprise me at all?
I gotta rank them. So at the end of the year, I can make a video about what the best game of the year was. Hold on.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
To be fair, it doesn't have to be like just games that came out in the past year. Just anything you've actually played in the last year.
Is it this fiscal calendar year or is it in the last year from September 2021? Because I got one at the top of this list that makes me really happy looking at.
Basically, since the last time basically from this point in time all the way back to the last podcast that we did.
Okay. Name your top 3. Toby.
Top 3.
Okay, let me go last. I don't play as much.
Okay, Rico, go.
Oh God, I have to like go. One is definitely Monster Hunter Rise, especially with the Sunbreak DLC that's come out.
Great decision. It's not on my list, but yes.
Yeah, because like before I like had like stopped playing it for a while, and I was waiting for like more new stuff to come out because the updates were like so. And I was waiting for that next big update. Then Sunbreak came out, and it just sucked me back in. I'm pouring like so many hours back into it. Another big game that really stuck with me over the past year, Elden Ring. Elden Ring. Now I'm a fan of like FromSoft and Souls-like games, but I've always had trouble like getting into them just because of how high like that, just because of how ruthless they are. You all know, like everybody at home knows like how ruthless Soulsborne games is. Like they're unforgiving as hell, and that's part of the enjoyment of them. But Elden Ring, if you never play a Soulsborne game, that's definitely where you should start at, because this sucked me in for quite a bit, and I have enjoyed my time. I haven't beat it, but I have poured like I'd say a decent amount of hours into it. And I'd say another game that's over the past year. Let's see. Let me bring up what I've actually have here. Shit. Damn. I've actually played more than I thought over the last year. I'd honestly probably have to name a third one being. I almost want to say something like Cult of the Lamb or Sifu. One of those, probably an indie game. I would say like Cult of the Lamb, Sifu, or Death's Door, because I don't remember if that came out over this like past year since we last did this. If it did, at least on PlayStation, it came out much later, which is when I picked it up. And Death's Door was just it was satisfying. So like it's a 3-way tie between those three: Death's Door, Cult of the Lamb, and Sifu.
Okay. Sifu. I like the Sifu call out. I almost forget that came out this year. Toby, you want me to go?
I mean, I figured them out if you
Okay,
want me to.
go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the one that Rico hit on as well. I injured myself while playing this game, to be exact. Elden Ring, what a fucking game, am I right?
I put 15 hours into it. A solid 15
Oh,
hours.
don't even talk about it, all right?
I want to get back to how the fuck did you injure yourself playing this game?
I do want to hear this.
Okay, so you were actually in the call with me at the time, Kneeckoh.
Is this where you like beat yourself in the leg because you?
Yeah. I fought Malekith over and over and over for, I want to say it was probably like 20 deaths at least. And every time I would get mad, I'd just like, I didn't want to break my controller, so I would just punch myself in the leg. And one time I got real upset because it was like one hit away, you know. I had him. I should have won, but I didn't. And I about yeeted my controller and just swung straight down onto my leg. Like my controller flew across the room. My headset ripped out of it. And I looked at my leg the next day and I had like the largest welt in the world. I was like, yeah, I should probably like take a break or something. Don't worry, I beat him that same night. Don't stress.
It's like, don't worry, no fucking handicap hindrance is gonna stop me from beating this bitch after 20 tries.
Yeah, I think I made it to the Elden Beast that night.
Oh god.
Let me tell you, when I fought who's the second to last boss? Is it Godric? Not Godric, Godfrey.
Yes, Godfrey.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I hit myself one time during that, and I about like teared up. It hurt. I was tender.
That's a new one. That's the first physical injury I've heard from a Elden Ring.
Yeah. So you know, but it's okay. It was a great game. I played an obnoxious amount of that. My second game, and it's not a new game by any means, but it's so when I was in college, my roommate, they liked watching me play, and like I'd play on the big like 50-inch TV we had in the living room. And it's a game that has different like features if you use a headset compared to, you know, a standard stereo system, and it's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, so if you use the headset, like all the little whispers that go on in her head will just talk crap, and they'll just like drown out some of the other stuff going on and make you paranoid and make you have anxiety and everything. And my friend didn't believe me, so I gave her the headset and I played through the TV stereo, which, let me add, the little paranoia will tell you when you need to parry in combat, and you can't hear it very well through the TV. So I was just getting railed the entire time. But she enjoyed like how messed up the game was and everything, and it was kind of nice like bringing that atmosphere to someone else who doesn't game consistently like I do. So that was kind of like something that stuck out to me, and they said it was almost like cinematic movie worthy. So that was dope. And then the third and final game, and Kneeckoh, you're gonna hate me, but it's League, because you know I took a 2-year break and I came back, and I don't try as hard as I used to. I don't rage at the game, so it's just fun sitting around and just not caring, just having a good time.
Nah, Elden Ring broke him to where it's like, this isn't so bad now.
Actually, yeah, I was when I beat Elden Ring, I'm like, I need something else to rage at, and League didn't really do that, but it worked out.
It's just
All
like, I'm free.
All right. It pains me. I'm cheating, okay? I'm doing 3 from this year, and I'm doing 1 from last year, because I think it's coming out again this year on Xbox. Okay, hold on. I'll
Golly,
get there,
here
okay?
we go.
Okay? And I'm going to go in order, because after you said Monster Hunter Rise, I forgot I had to add that to my list, because I definitely beat Sunbreak and love Sunbreak, so it had to go on the list. So I'm going to go with the top 3 on my list, as we sit right now, of games that I have played and loved. Cult of the Lamb is number 1. That is currently my
Fair.
game of the year. It's so good. It's so good. It has no right. The soundtrack going as hard as it does. It's just it's an indie game that is perfect.
It's like a messed up Animals Crossing, but in a good way.
It's fantastic. It's so good. I actually bought it digitally on Switch, and then I loved it so much that I did the physical pre-order for the limited run version of the game. So I
Yeah, it's
get it
totally fair.
next year. I'm getting it again, and I'm getting a bunch of cool collectible stuff with it because it's just that good. The next game that I put like 10 days worth of game time into, and I don't even Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I loved that game with everything in me. I no-lifed the hell out of that game. It's the shiny object syndrome. It really with everything in me. It was just like, what cool piece of armor can I get to make my build that much better? I put 10 days worth of time into that freaking game. I loved it. Number 3, Monster Hunter Rise. Because Sunbreak was fantastic. I think I put like 100 hours in like a month's time into Sunbreak. I haven't really dove in a while. I want to get back into hunting because like they added a bunch of new content and shit and like made it super hard, and I want to get into that. But I haven't played it in a while. I need to get back to it. And then the game from last year that was on PlayStation, I think it comes out on Xbox. If it does come out, it should come out on Xbox this year. Play it. You need to. Deathloop.
Yes.
That's the last game that I remember turning my PlayStation on and being like, I need to play and 100% this game. It is so freaking good. I honestly, when it comes out on Xbox, I might honestly replay it because it's just so good.
That'd be fair.
So that's my list. It pained me to not include Legends Arceus on the list. I really
I
wanted
did
to.
kind of forget about that one, but it was a good experience. I will say.
I
that.
wanted to include it, but I just didn't think it added up to the rest of the games on my list, personally.
Yeah. We'll say it's an honorable mention.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're doing this on a weird day because today happened to be the Nintendo Direct and the what were they even calling it? PlayStation Showcase? I don't even know.
No, State of Play. PlayStation showcases for more of like bigger announcement stuff, I'd say.
So that's
typically their bigger show.
They did the Direct, and then they I think it was after they did the State of Play. And I watched one. I'm sure you can all guess based on the intro which one I watched. And
Yep.
and it was mid. I'm gonna admit a brief recap here. Cool stuff that came from the Nintendo Direct. I thought it was incredibly. There was so much little stuff shoved in there, and there was some cool stuff, but like so much of it was games that already came out on other platforms. And like, yeah, it's cool to see them come to Switch, and I'm probably going to buy them on Switch because that's who I am. But it's like I'm not as hyped as I could be. Like, Sifu's coming to Switch. That's gonna be really cool. Tunic's coming to Switch. I'm excited for that. It Takes Two's coming to Switch. I don't know if I'll actually play that because I have to have somebody to play that one with.
You got your girlfriend.
Yeah, convincing her to sit down and do anything. She's got shiny object syndrome in the real world like I do in video games. Okay.
Just tell her there's a shiny trophy achievement at the end of the game.
But like the new Fire Emblem was the big standout for me. That was super exciting. I loved Three Houses. I don't think this game will top Three Houses for me personally, but I was excited for that. Pikmin 4 is kind of cool. I'll probably pick up the Kirby game remake. That's exciting. Bayonetta, I already have it on pre-order, so it's just more of something I already know I'm going to buy. And then like it was just a bunch of other little stuff sprinkled in here and there that like was cool, and I'll probably pick up like that Disney racing game that's coming out. I'll probably pick that up because that just sounds cool. But like then we got the Tears of the King title reveal for Breath of the Wild 2. Like we know what it is, and like
It was it's Tears of the Kingdom, and I want to make like a funny note about that. So the thing with Direct is that because of the recent passing of Queen Elizabeth, they didn't show the Direct in the UK, and now I know why. It's because of the title for the Zelda game.
dude, I didn't even think of that. Ooh, ooh, wow.
So, I'm just like, huh, kind of odd that just so kind of like somewhat wholesome that they decided not to show it in the UK, in honor of the Queen. And then I see the title, I was like, oh wait, no, that's why.
That is absolutely crazy. And okay, so for me, it looks like more Breath of the Wild, but like they added like the whole upper level that we saw in the first trailer. That I think it looks cool, and I think this trailer did a better job at showing off the fidelity of the game. The first trailer did not look very good, right, graphically. This one I think looked really crisp and clean, and it makes me a little happier looking at this one.
Also made me a little happy that now we finally have a release date for it. It's still not for a while. May, what was it, 23rd or something like that? Next year?
Yeah, it comes out in May.
Yeah, May next year, basically. So still ways away, but at least now we know when to expect it.
Assuming it doesn't get delayed again,
So now people can shut up about it, at least for a while.
Okay, so is there anything that stands out from that for anybody else? Because I'm a Nintendo guy, and I have a tendency to buy anything Nintendo puts out.
I mean, not entirely. Like, this Direct, there wasn't, like, really a whole lot for me. Like, I'm not really as big into the Fire Emblem series. If I were to get into one, maybe it would be, like, the Three Houses one, because I know that also got a bit of a spin-off game, which I possibly be interested in. I'm not sure, though.
Oh, the Warriors game?
Huh?
The Fire Emblem Warriors game?
Yes, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I know that plays like the Dynasty War games, and those are like a good, like, mind-numbing fun sometimes. God, what else? And that they did show that the Final Fantasy Crisis Core, it's called Reunion. It's basically like a remaster of a PSP game that ties in with Final Fantasy VII. It's like a prequel to Final Fantasy VII,
Can we
really.
acknowledge how good that looked on the Switch, though?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't watch the actual Direct, but I watched another guy's basically reaction to the Direct, and he made a good point. Like, it actually looks like it was running like pretty good on the Switch, and which kind of makes sense that it would, considering this is a remaster of a game that only came out on the PSP back in the day.
I think, I don't know, maybe it was just the trailer they showed was really good, but like, I don't know, it reminded me of Final Fantasy VII Remake, like, graphical style. Like, it almost looks like it was rebuilt.
It kind of was. It's just not like a whole like remake like my Final Fantasy VII was. It's still, for most part, the same game as what the PSP version was, but it's gonna have those updated like Final Fantasy VII like remake and style and everything.
Yeah, it was that one really stuck out. The thing that really upset me was I got really excited and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to replay Resident Evil 8 on my Switch." And then it was like, "But it's a cloud game." And cloud games really irk me on Switch because I don't actually own the game. Like, I don't mind buying digital games, but like, I want to own the game. Like, I can play it whenever. And cloud games aren't that way. First off, you got to have a stable internet connection. That's already a task on its own for a lot of people. But then, like, if the server shuts down that runs that cloud game, you don't own the game anymore. You can't play it. So like, it's cool that you can experience it on your Switch if that's your only option, but it does kind of suck.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, this is why like I try to get physical versions of my games as much as I can. Typically, the only stuff I buy digitally is if something's on a good enough sale, or mostly indie titles.
Toby, anything stick out for you from this Direct?
I mean, I didn't watch it.
And why does this not surprise me? You're like the kid who shows up to the group project who doesn't do any of his homework.
Whoa. Chill out, alright?
Chill out. I haven't done that since junior high.
No, I mean, I haven't had a real big reason to pick up my Switch in a long time.
Well,
And
What would you?
one of these could be the reason.
I was gonna say.
and I mean, yes, like I'm happy that there's going to be a new like mainline Fire Emblem game. Now the issue with that is I can barely sit down through those games because I mean I play on the classic mode.
Well, yeah.
So I get attached to these people and I don't want them to die and I don't play on like easy or normal. No, you pick a hard mode, okay? And so you're sitting there for like an hour to 2 hours in a single battle just so you don't lose anyone. And then you finish it up, you do a little more story and it's right back at it again. And I'm like, I just can't sit there and put
Have you tried?
50 hours of combat into it
Have
and
you
not.
tried just playing the game on normal and enjoying the game?
What are you, soft?
It's like, no, if you're not suffering, you're not playing the game.
Yeah, I guess. Jeez. I think I played on normal in my playthrough, and I mean, it was difficult enough that I was scared of losing people here and there.
No.
Nah.
Okay.
I play like chess and TFT on a regular basis. Strategy is what I love.
No, I just wanted to play the game, enjoy the story. It was fantastic. So, moving on to the state of play, what was shown at this? I know there was the God of War trailer.
Yeah, so State of Play, much shorter than what the direct, so it didn't like really show as much, but at least they stuck like just straight to games and trailers, except for one portion. So very first thing they opened up, which was like definitely in hindsight a big thing to open up. They announced and revealed Tekken 8, the next entry in the Tekken franchise, and it was looking tasty. Now I'm a fighting game fan, even though I'm shit at them, and I'm not patient enough to like actually sit there and practice button inputs and combos. Also, I don't have the best hand-eye coordination for all the half circles, quarter circles, left, right, left, up, down, left, right, social security number. But it was definitely a big one to open up on. And then after that, it was kind of more lulled announcements. They showed two PlayStation VR titles, PlayStation VR 2 titles, I should say. One of them being Star Wars. I think it was like Star Wars Galaxy Edge, basically a Star Wars VR game. Looked okay. Didn't really look like the craziest quality, but I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, probably something up your alley. After that was a game that I can best describe as VR Dungeons and Dragons tabletop.
That
Like you're
sounds
just
kind
playing
of
in.
dope.
As if you look at the trailer, it definitely didn't seem too bad. You're basically just like overviewing this tabletop. You're controlling your little figures, rolling the dice, everything, the whole shebang.
That'd be cool because like you could play D&D like online with your friends, kind of like people do in Discord, but you could do it like and actually see what's going. That'd be kind of nuts. That'd be kind of cool.
See, there you go. God, what else? There was also more shown on Hogwarts, the Harry Potter game.
Yeah,
Which
I have that pre-ordered for Switch, and it comes out way later on Switch. So
oh, this poor man, he's gonna have to wait.
yeah, I don't want to. It looks really good.
And let's see what else. We're also getting a new entry. Well, technically new entry into the Yakuza franchise. I don't know how much you guys have played that franchise
Never.
at all. Nag loves it. I'm pretty sure he was playing one of them earlier. But it's in the Yakuza universe, but it's not actually called Yakuza. It was like a dragon something, but it's the best way I could describe it is a Yakuza game that takes place in like feudal Japan era setting. So like back in the 1800s, you're pretty much a Ronin, and typical Yakuza combat and style and wackiness. Looks like some pretty fun time. And then another game which I honestly thought was about to be some other Yakuza game at first, because it was another game set in a feudal Japan setting, but it wasn't Yakuza. Was called what was it? Rise of the Ronin. It was like it's a new Nico's favorite new action adventure game. It looks like where you play as this Ronin in feudal Japan. Combat looked pretty sick. Definitely worth a check out. Something that I'll probably keep on my radar in the future. They also showed more on a game that was shown off some time ago at a showcase, but didn't have an official title then. Now it does. Game formerly known as Project Eve, now called I think it was Stellar's Blade. Best way I can describe it is anime girl meets Devil May Cry, maybe. That's the kind of vibe I was getting from the
I know what you're
combat.
talking about.
Yeah, you play as a hot you play as a hot anime girl. You fight demons. You wield a cybernetic katana and all the power ups. Just the usual.
I think you're
normal
confused. I
stuff.
think you're describing Bayonetta from the Direct.
No. This one uses technology, not their naked body hair.
Got it.
But yeah, then I think after that, I think that pretty much sums up everything that's done. I'm probably missing a few things. And then, of course, we had the God of War trailer at the end, which I knew God of War, like, we're not too far away from it coming out. It comes out in November. But I was waiting for them to build up more hype for it, and this trailer, it did for me. Now I can't wait for this game to come out.
I have a different take. Now, granted, I will fully admit that I am not done playing God of War. I started it. I am on the first of the realms you visit, and I don't know why. I'm not interested in picking it back up right now. I have no desire to pick it up and continue playing. Okay? However, I feel like I've played enough of the game to have an understanding of how the game plays and feels, right? So, and this is something that ties into both Tears of the Kingdom as well as Ragnarok. I feel like the two big games from these two companies right now are like just expansions to the previous big games from these companies.
To enlighten.
So like
elaborate.
So like if you look at the trailer for, I mean, you didn't play a whole lot of Breath of the Wild, Toby, so you can't really but like if you think about Ragnarok wasn't even supposed to be a game. It was supposed to be a DLC for God of War that got too big and they made a game, right? So like off the bat you're already thinking, okay, this is going to be more God of War 2018, but it looks really pretty and they added a lot more content, right? So it doesn't from everything we've seen, there's nothing that's really stood out from shit I've seen like in streams of people playing God of War or like my own experiences with God of War. There's nothing that really is like, wow, this is dynamically different than what we had before. And it's the same thing that I'm getting from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where like they added some new locations, but the gameplay itself looks to be almost identical to what came before.
So here's my argument to this. Okay.
Okay.
So I think you just aren't into the game. And here's why. Because remember way back when, good old Ezio Auditore da Firenze, okay? Assassin's Creed 2 finishes. You're set. You probably have Altair's armor. You probably have full health, just 100% yoked, right?
Uh-huh.
Then they put out Brotherhood. And they strip you of everything that you just had immediately after, and it should have been a DLC. All they added to the game was that you could have assassin, like little groups that you sent out and assist you on some missions. But guess who was so hyped for this game? You.
No,
So,
hold on.
So
No,
that's
no,
what
no,
I'm
no.
saying. I just don't think that this is something that you're overly interested in, because that is by definition the same exact thing that we're getting right here. They're stripping us of the stats and the armor that we worked so hard to get in the game before, and it should have been a DLC, but now it is.
Well, no, because
it just got too big.
I have the same stance of Breath of the Wild, a game I have played in completion, and I'm really excited for the new one, but it just looks like more of what we had before with some different locations added in. So like it's the same thing, just a different platform. And it's not that I want to play the new God of War. I plan to play Ragnarok and I plan to finish God of War eventually. Okay, like
better.
But I'm saying that like what these two games, like let's take two other games for example. Okay, I got two examples here. So let's take Spider-Man 1 on the PlayStation. Okay. And then let's put Spider-Man Miles Morales, right? Two games that play very similarly, but not same, you know? So, like, there's mechanics that make each feel their own way. Like, take base Peter Parker, right? He's doing his own thing. He's got his suit powers, whatever. Then you throw in Miles, who has the Venom powers that makes him so much more mobile and more powerful. He plays fundamentally different than Peter, which makes the two games feel very different in their own right, right? Or take something like The Last of Us Part 1 to The Last of Us Part 2, where in The Last of Us Part 1, Joel's very big, he's clunky, he can't dodge, he's slower, he can't crawl on the ground. Then you get to you get to someone like Ellie, who's really small and limber, and she's able to, crawl under cars, and then she's able to, dodge when enemies attack her and do all these different things. So there's different mechanics that make the game feel and the character that you're playing feel very different than the previous entry in the franchise, versus these look like they took what happened in the last franchise and then moved it into a new game and made it look prettier.
All right, so I definitely have a bit of rebuttal for like roughly everything from like God of War to the Spider-Man comparison to Breath of the Wild. I'll start with Breath of the Wild because that'll be the quickest. With Breath of the Wild, I'll say, like, at least for now, the reason why it only feels like it's pretty much feels like it's just a glorified DLC a bit is because I feel like Nintendo has hardly showed us anything about with gameplay or what makes this different game so different from its predecessor. Like so far all I've seen is just like now you have these floating aisles that you can traverse along and some different forms of a few new powers here and there, but no in-depth showing of like what new abilities we might have in combat and anything like that. Basically, we just haven't got I haven't seen enough to think like, okay, this is a new standalone game.
Let me briefly interject. I want to say, I feel like it came across like I was saying these were just glorified DLCs. I don't think they're glorified DLCs. I think they're going to be enough content to justify making their own games. I'm just saying that what we see in the gameplay that we have doesn't look dramatically different from what we already had, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like there's no, like, another example. Okay, Infamous 1 to Infamous 2, very dramatically different games. Okay, these don't look like dramatically different games.
Okay, so then my argument for God of War, because I didn't play Breath of the Wild, would be, has any God of War been dramatically different except for God of War 3 or Ascension, if you count that one, because a lot of people hate it. Or Ascension into God of War 2018. Like, that's just a complete change of combat and everything. Like, they've always been the exact same game, same combat, same style. They just amp it up a little bit, add a little more graphical, whatever the words are. English is hard. Little extra graphics. They add in a little extra combat. Make the camera angles a little smoother. So, like, that's just the standard game. Like, if you look at, like, let's take Far Cry, for example. It's just the same game with a few extra new mechanics every game in a new setting. And let's take, let's use your Spider-Man example, right? They have different abilities. Well, something that's similar to that also is Batman Arkham games. They all get a few extra abilities in each game. You get a few extra gadgets to change up the combat system. But in the end core of the game, it's still exactly the same. So that's all they're doing with this God of War like game. Like, it's gonna be enough there.
I'm not saying there's not going to be enough there. I find it interesting that we're hitting a point with a lot of these games where we're not like there's little to no innovation. Another game that I'm playing right now that has little to no innovation from the previous entry. Not that it needed to, because it's selling really well. It's Splatoon. Like, there's almost no difference in the multiplayer between Splatoon 2 to Splatoon 3. These games are just like cut and dry the same. I just think it's really weird the place that a lot of these games are in right now. Like, the thing that Zelda games I loved about them was every game was a little different, with the exception of like maybe I guess Majora's Mask added the mask, so it was quite a bit different than Ocarina. But like it was very similar in how they played. But like with Zelda, every game was a little different because there was a different story, it was a different art style, this, that, and the other. And now I feel like we've kind of taken a step back from that, especially in a franchise like Zelda that has been so dramatically different over the years.
Yeah, I do kind of get, cause I feel like the current trend with like, adding new entries to, franchises and stuff is if a franchise has already been successful, I think the way it's somewhat a safe route that companies are going. I think at least I think that's what their mindset is. Is that okay? We'll keep what's good about the game, and we'll just add some improvements or new stuff here and there. Not so much that it's a completely different game, but enough so to like justify it in their minds. So that's why like Splatoon is relatively the same with little stuff here and there. That's why every Call of Duty game is basically the same. Only differences being like either new guns or different setting. Uh, with God of War, from what I've seen so far, is like yes, it like still graphically looks the same, which is fine because God of War still looks phenomenal by today's standards.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
And I think they're going with the same like camera method they used in the last one. I don't know if you noticed it all, but the camera is it's a constant one shot that's always on Kratos, at least for a majority of the time. But they have added in differences though, like one with Kratos. He has now more mobility options with like combat and like some traversal stuff. He's gonna get new power-ups to where he can like imbue his weapons with magic, which he couldn't do before in the previous game. And then he's also something I thought was gonna be in the first game, but now I guess is gonna be in this one, is he's gonna be getting different shields that have their own different abilities and stuff like that. So just like not a whole lot of different changes, but like little stuff here and there to make it different.
I almost wish that that's what we saw instead of just the new trailer. Because, like, we already know we're getting more story. He's going to fight Thor. Fenris is in the game. Like, we already know all this information, right? We know all of it. Show us what makes the game unique. I don't know. I'm past the, like, show me a pretty trailer stuff, Show me the gameplay. Give me something to break down and talk about.
I think that's another reason, like, why you might not be as into God of War right now is because God of War what did it come out? 2018? Yeah, God of War 2018. It's not so much like the gameplay or combat that draws you in, but at least for me personally, the story is what really sucked me in. Just like
Same.
This father and son journey throughout this whole game, and like seeing how their relationship like evolves and develops, how going from just like like Kratos being a somewhat like stern father while also like somewhat keeping Atreus like shut out from his like more like deeper and like darker secrets basically, and just seeing that like evolve throughout the game and like getting some of these big moments in the game.
Yeah,
which
I agree.
And I think that's like the reason for like this recent trailer. I think that's what they were going for, because you'll understand if you manage to like play through the game, but the way that game ends, like people are excited to see how this story is going to play out in God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, like how many games did you play of God of War, Kneeckoh? Like I know you at least played a good portion of 1 because we did that back in the day.
1, 3, and Ascension, I believe.
Okay, so like
And
I
played bits and pieces of the PSP ones as well.
Yeah, so I've played every single one.
Bro, like, November 9th? That's why. Why does it come out then?
Dude, that's been the release date for a while.
Yeah, you sound sad about that. That's a good thing.
What? No, it's not. It's a week before Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is a dramatically more important game.
Shit.
Oh, whatever.
And then Sonic, what's the new game called? I don't even know what it's called. Sonic
Frontiers.
Frontiers, there it is.
Sonic Forces was the last one.
Sure. Sonic Frontiers.
We don't talk about Forces.
Comes out the day before. I didn't mind Sonic Forces.
Fuck.
It was okay. But I have that on pre-order too. So like, it's a bad window. Okay.
You just have issues.
But I will make a deal. Hold on. I got to side note this, okay? I'm tired of the slander on my name as a gamer.
This fucking ADD brain, I swear.
For not having played God of War, okay? I will make a deal right now, okay? I will buy the game. I will beat God of War, okay? And I will buy the new game day 1 if you guys buy it, and we could review it within a week or 2 on the podcast.
Easy. Now, I will say, to make sure you have played through the game, I will quiz you on like certain portions of the story.
I will not remember the start of the game because I started it like 2 months ago, and I'm not
Well,
restarting.
I'll say it'll be more like stuff like second half closer to the end.
Yeah, key points. But when I was playing, like the main thing that hit me, I played every single game. Like, so I saw Kratos' original family and how he treated and acted about that entire endeavor. So, like, you get to also sit there and think, like, from my aspect, and this was what really drew me in, like, because I mean, let's be honest, the combat was just Soulsborne. That's all it was. Like, if you ever played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, same combat. It's the
Yeah.
exact
I don't
same.
think the
And
difficulty's on the same level, but I would agree the combat
no,
is
like
comparable.
if
No,
you
I think the difficulty you can choose too.
yeah, you can. Um, but I'm like the story, just watching Kratos change from that I'm gonna kill everything. There's nothing that will ever stand in my way to make things right. To understanding that every action has a consequence and having the fight that inner rage that he constantly has and trying to show his son like how to become like a good person and not become like him. Like it's crazy to see that development throughout the game because he does get better as you play.
Yeah, guess that's another thing that sort of like helps you connect to the game more is at least like knowing Kratos' backstory and like what he's done and what he's been through.
So I guess you and I are kind of on complete opposite fronts. I couldn't care less what they add game like for
Well,
combat
yeah,
wise. Like I don't need it. I'm like I want to know what happens next in this story. Like I am here like you were for like you loved The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2.
Mm.
I still need to play 2. But you
Yeah,
love yeah,
exactly.
don't look at me like that. Yeah,
I was saying
but
we got Kneeckoh about playing God of War. Now we need to turn face.
yeah, I'm terrible about buying video games. Just buying anything really. Um,
Make a budget.
but
That's what I do. A budget plan. My budget is my
but yeah,
entire
like
bank account, but that's beside the point.
like I literally have the trailer just ready to go for when we're done talking, so I can actually watch the entire trailer just to see what all it's gonna be in this game. Like I need to know what's gonna be in it.
There's gonna be a lot. I can tell they're cranking it up to 11.
Okay,
Ragnarok is here and it is beautiful.
back to the other game that's very much the same. Toby, you did not like Breath of the Wild, which is I feel like a hate crime to say out loud. You know what I mean?
Whatever.
Like it's
It was mid,
that's such a
Oh,
it's the hottest take.
and I'll stand by it.
That is the hottest take. Why is it
I'm alright
mid?
with it.
As somebody who's notoriously a Zelda fan, like our entire lives, you've loved Zelda. Why is
It
this
didn't-
game mid?
Zelda, you always had a very clear, definitive path. The story was always the same. It had those few mixed in little like side objectives and side quests you could do, like to get a bigger money pouch or to get some extra health. But this one had like no clear, definitive path. You could beat it level 1. Like you didn't have to do anything.
I don't know how because it's tough.
I don't know. I've watched the YouTube videos. All right, I didn't play the game. Um, but it's like there's no like real. It doesn't feel like you have to fight at all to actually be the hero of Hyrule. You don't have to prove your worth in any of it. Like when I played Ocarina for the first time, let me tell you, I had played Twilight Princess at that point and everything, probably like 3 or 4 times all the way through. And I sat down to play Ocarina, and it was phenomenally harder. Like just everything about it was way harder, and it was rewarding to finally beat Ganondorf at the end. But I don't know, it didn't feel like there was really anything I had to work up to. I was just figure out this puzzle and move forward with it.
so what I'm taking from this is you prefer the Zelda games of old where it's a more linear, a somewhat more linear path in terms of like story and gameplay, as opposed to Zelda now being this in this massive overworld where they just throw you in and say like, "Fuck it, fly."
Yeah.
So that's just wild. Because
Breath of the Wild. Ha!
Because like I remember like because even Twilight Princess is really big, and it's like it's open. I mean, it has the feel
But
of
you
an open
knew what you
world.
needed to do.
But, I mean,
And like
you know what you need
you
to
know
do in
what you
Breath
need
of
to
the
do in
Wild.
that, but it doesn't feel like I tried putting probably 8 hours into the game,
It's like
and it just
Skyrim.
like there was no compelling factor for me to go and like find the specific thing. It was just like, oh, it's just another open world I can just explore, and it doesn't fit the genre and the title of the game like every other game that's ever came out by them. Like it just didn't feel like a Zelda
It
game.
didn't
It
fit the
felt like
title.
it
It's the
it
Breath of
felt
the
like
Wild.
it felt like it was third person Skyrim in Zelda. And
Yeah,
I didn't like it. I didn't. It's just not me.
but I mean, I'm not saying that you have to like it. It just it confuses me as someone who's played Skyrim, a game that literally throws you in and is like, go do whatever you want. There's no
Yeah, but the quests in
reason
that were
to
very
go.
compelling for me to go and get this guy his fucking sweet roll. All right, where it didn't. I didn't feel compelled to do anything in Breath of the Wild. I was like,
Fuck,
well, when I get to it, I get to it. I guess.
fuck saving your kingdom. This guy needs a sweet roll.
Okay, intermission. I have to blow my nose. Sorry.
Blow hard for me, daddy.
I don't know. For me, I just felt like, and Rico, you beat Breath of the Wild, correct? Oh Jesus! But you've at least
I've at least played more than Tony. I'll
you've
say that.
defeated a divine beast, though, right?
I believe I defeated 2.
Okay, so like for me, the compelling nature of the game came from like the interaction between like the drivers of the divine beast and like their history with Link in the world, because Link being asleep for as long as he was, and like that aspect of it, discovering the memories and like connecting the dots with these characters was what was compelling about the quests in Breath of the Wild.
See, for me, what drew me into Breath of the Wild was the same thing that drew me into Skyrim. I just wanted all the cool weapons and armor. I wanted to be a one-man army, and that's exactly what I shot for. And that's what kept me going for a while.
So there's no shot you play Tears of the Kingdom there, Toby?
It's a very slim chance.
It's tragic.
I'm just honest, all right.
It's tragic.
So sad.
Truthfully, it's
All right.
tragic.
Well,
Hold
I'm
on,
gonna
hold-
change gears though. I got something I need to know what your all's opinion is, all right?
All right.
Cause I got no one to talk to about video games like this. So here it is. You ready?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
How do y'all feel about what Assassin's Creed be doing?
I actually want to talk about that, so I am glad you brought it up.
Thank you. Someone else is on the same page.
What they're doing is interesting, but I think part of it's good at least. So
I think it's good.
how yeah, I was gonna say, how informed are you on like the recent Assassin's Creed stuff?
I
Nico?
know
So
I know they're diving back into like the Assassin's Creed of old gameplay styles, which is good because I personally, as someone who's played the vast majority of Assassin's Creed games, I do not like where it went with Origins and then Odyssey and then Valhalla. It really stepped away from what made Assassin's Creed and it went more into like an RPG. Like I wanted Assassin's Creed in a Viking setting, but Valhalla is not the game that I wanted. Despite Valhalla being a very good game, it's not what I wanted.
So the thing with that is like they're still keeping to that, but they're basically gonna do both. It seems like they're both gonna do both of those from now on. This next Assassin's Creed game we're getting, Assassin's Creed Mirage, this is gonna go back to the traditional Assassin's Creed. You know, have a more narrative focused game, more focus on like stealth and assassinations.
Maybe
Even
cut the game length and like cut it down
yes,
to like a fourth of the size of Valhalla. Give me
yeah,
a
it's
15 to 20 hour game, please, for the love of
I
God.
think it is going to be down to that side, about 15 to 20 hours. Even the new protagonist, I think his name's Basim or something like that.
He's from Valhalla.
Yeah, he's from Valhalla. Even his assassin's outfit is very close in similarity to Altair's. So I think that's a good sign that this is definitely going to be back to the Assassin's Creed of old. However, in announcing that, Ubisoft also revealed basically the next, well, somewhat revealed the next like 2 or 3 Assassin's Creed game we're going to get in the next few years.
Codename Red, baby.
Yeah, one of them being Codename Red, which
I've been
is
waiting
gonna
for so long.
Yes, but I hate to break it to you, it's gonna follow the same open world RPG formula that Valhalla, Origins, and Odyssey has.
See, I'd be okay with it. Like, I just want to go back to less of the like I'm just running in and smacking people with whatever weapon I have. I want to go back to like the stealth and like I remember playing some of the original Assassin's Creed games and I was like going through a mission. I was like, can I do this mission without getting caught? Can I go through and can I kill everybody and get all the guards and be as sneaky as an assassin as I can be? And I feel like they really took that away in the more recent entries.
Yeah, they definitely did. So I'm glad it's coming back with Mirage. But I get the way I watched Gamer Ranks like just before we got on here. I watched their video on it. How basically there's basically equal size fan bases for both the Assassin's Creed of old and these new open world RPG things. So that's why they're kind of doing both now. To where this next one's gonna be back to the more classic Assassin's Creed style, and then Codename Red is gonna still go that open world RPG route because they do have like both sides both have a big following and fans. And then they also announced the third Assassin's Creed game, but we don't have info on like what kind of game in terms of those two categories it's going to be. It's called Assassin's Creed Hex, and it's supposed to take place during the witch trials during like the Roman Empire, I think it was. Definitely interesting from the little teaser that they gave. It gave the like sort of like Twig Assassin's Creed Emblem Exania kind of gave me Blair Witch Project vibes. So at first it made me kind of think like, oh, are we gonna get like somehow a somewhat of like a more like almost horror themed Assassin's Creed? Because that might
I
be
am
kind of dope.
bricked up at the thought of that.
I am too.
And another interesting note with Codename Red and Hex is that these are both going to be the first games in what's Ubisoft's project Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is supposed to be this big. I don't even know what it's supposed to be, but it's supposed
like
to be
a hub.
Yeah, this massive hub for like all things Assassin's Creed, where supposedly you're supposed to be able to access like any Assassin's Creed game at all, or whichever ones they add. We just they said that, but we still don't know exactly what Infinity exactly is gonna be like.
It almost
I've
reminds
heard-
me of like booting up Call of Duty right now, and like you could pick between any of the existing Call of Duty games on the main screen. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's kind of what I've heard it's gonna be like, but it's also I heard that they're re-implementing multiplayer with it as well.
Freaking! I
I
said I was bricked up
don't-
before, but I am fully erect now.
Yeah, don't quote me on what it's gonna be because I have no idea. All right, that's just what the rumor is that they're gonna be implementing multiplayer
The
as
amount
well.
of hours I wasted playing multiplayer in Assassin's Creed Black Flag was unreal.
oh god, Black Flag was so to get was like
What
perfect.
was it, Brotherhood, where you fought each other?
It was the same thing from Brotherhood
Uh,
to Revelations
Brotherhood and-
to
yeah.
AC3 and then to Black Flag.
Because that was phenomenal.
It was
Okay,
so
on the topic, because we've been going for a while, a fat moment now, okay?
Yep.
On the topic of Assassin's Creed, okay, I felt real attacked earlier with the Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Oh,
reference.
here we go.
Okay, because I don't know how recently you've played those two games. If you are going to sit there and tell me that Brotherhood is the same game as AC2, you really need to sit down and replay both of them because holy crap is AC2 really tough to play now. After playing, I'll agree that Brotherhood through Black Flag, all very comparable. All very similar, okay? The aesthetic changes, but the gameplay stays about the same. But if you're going to sit there and tell me that anything Brotherhood to Black Flag feels like Assassin's Creed 2, you're smoking something, brother, okay? That game is clunky.
I mean, yeah, it's clunky. They went from Altair, who couldn't do anything. They couldn't even figure out how to make the character swim. That's why he desynchronized every time that he jumped in the water. They couldn't figure out how to put that into the game. Okay, so Ezio in 2. What did you get that was so special from 2 to Brotherhood, other than
An
the assassins?
entire combat system revamp?
It wasn't a revamp. It was the exact same combat.
No,
it
it
was
wasn't.
just not clunky.
It was not because in AC2, you had to break the enemy, do whatever you had to do to actually attack them. But you couldn't chain combos. Like if you killed one, you couldn't immediately flip over to the next enemy, kill that enemy, and then flip to the next enemy, kill that enemy. It wasn't fluid like it is in from Brotherhood all the way to Black Flag. In that game, you had to kill an enemy, then you had to go on and do a whole other combo on another enemy before you could kill them. It wasn't a chain kill command like you see in like the trailers, like what we just had for Mirage, where he like stabbed the dude with the sword, then stabbed him in the head with the hidden blade. That shit exists in Brotherhood. It does not exist in AC2 and EC1.
So that's the small fix that they could have done for the DLC version of it.
What? That's not you'd have to remake. That's not no. It's not the same. You can't just change how the combat works an entire game in DLC. Not quite the same. They had to rebuild the combat.
Yeah, say the
Not to
combat.
mention that the fact that horse combat actually worked in AC Brotherhood versus it doesn't work at all, and the horses don't work at all in AC2.
Horses need to be put down.
I had to go back because I just replayed them recently. Not like in their full, but I hopped into both, and AC2 is kind of painful to play again.
I was gonna say, I think, if I remember correctly, some of the Assassin's Creed game, at least up to, I think, Assassin's Creed Rogue, maybe, is available in one of the PlayStation Plus tiers. So that alone has been, like, made me kind of debate. I was like, maybe one of these tiers is actually kind of worth it to upgrade to dive into the old Assassin's Creed games.
I own everything from AC2 to Rogue on Switch.
I don't want to spend that kind of money trying to hunt it down, so might have to upgrade. Plus, like, part of me wants to try and go back and like give some of these other Assassin's Creed games a try. Like, never got to play Rogue. I possibly want to give Syndicate another try and Unity. I don't even remember if I ever beat Unity. I think I did.
Unity's fun.
I think I got halfway through Unity.
Unity was fun, but my god, on launch it was buggy as hell. And then they finally...
I thought that was the peak of Assassin's Creed parkour.
It was... that's probably one of the things I'm most excited about with Mirage coming back, is because they said they're going back to like the old interactive parkour where like you'll actually interact with what you're climbing instead of, it's like, oh, here's a pretty steep rock. What are you going to climb? Oh, you're just going to climb it. No, okay, you're good. Yep. Not grabbing onto anything, but you're scaling it like no problem.
That was Valhalla in a nutshell.
Yep. Which I honestly have debated on trying to go back and play through Valhalla, because even though I prefer the older Assassin's Creed games, I do want to like give at least one of the open world games a fair shot, and I feel like Valhalla would be the one to do it with, because I really like the whole Norse mythology setting.
Yeah, the Viking setting does it wonders. But I think we got to wrap this up, because I feel like we've been going over an hour. But we were all over the damn place. I think we decided God of War sucks. Assassin's Creed looks good. That face said it all.
Am I getting gaslit? What just happened?
No, I don't know. I'm excited for both. I'm excited for everything. I'm excited for a reason to turn my damn PlayStation on, honestly, at this point.
That you'll never do, because Pokemon comes out a week later.
So that means I have a week to beat God of War.
Exactly,
yeah,
a week later, so he has a whole week.
I have
he has a whole week to like dust that bitch up and then beat it.
A whole week to beat God of War, which is a tricky feat. Honestly, I'm going to tell you now, we're going to get to it, and you guys are going to be like, yeah, we beat the game. I'm going to be like, I'm about halfway through, boys. That's where I'm going to be.
Yep.
Okay? But I
already know that.
But I will beat God of War 1 to play God of War Ragnarok for the review. So, pitter-patter, let's get at her, boys. You know what I mean?
I'll play through the whole first game again by the time you get done.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll play through the first game, too. What? Me and Tony are going to play through the first game again, and we'll still have it beat before you have God of War beat.
Yep.
Oh, that's a likely scenario. Do you know how much time I put into my YouTube channel? My free time. Just let me just put this in the... We're going to extend this podcast here. Just tomorrow to get my normal video up, plus edit this podcast. It's probably going to take me from when I get up to move my car so my girlfriend can leave for work at like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning to probably noon, 1 o'clock is when I'm done. Probably have the first video up. I haven't even uploaded the second video.
It'll be good for you.
So I'm just saying that dramatically limits the amount of game time I have.
Yeah, so you just have to, prioritize better.
I do. I play the Switch.
Nope,
game.
nope, you don't play the game you need to play, and
If I
I'm
can't
tired of
beat
it.
God of War, okay? If I can't beat one game in the next month and a half before the sequel comes out, I don't know what to tell you. I don't.
You aren't gonna do it. I have no faith.
Let me tell you, we gotta get you back to your gamer roots. I gotta get you some of that young gamer energy back. Back in the day, I'd beat new games in 2 days. 2 days. By no lifing that shit.
I don't got that kind of free time anymore.
We'll get you a new tub of your dubby, and we'll be cool.
If I had to be in bed by 10 because I had to get up early in the morning, I'd say, fuck it. I'm staying up till 1 because I can't stop playing this bitch and I want to be a completionist.
I don't got that kind of time. But this has been the Enter the Chat Gaming Podcast. Okay? All right. Nobody else has social media, so I'll just do me. Okay? You can find me at Kneeckoh Gaming. Rico might actually have Twitter. I don't know. I know.
I have Twitter, but don't follow me. You don't want to see what I do on there.
Follow me at Kneeckoh Gaming. I'm at Kneeckoh Gaming on everything. Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. I don't really post on TikTok or my Instagram, but you can follow me there too if you really want to. Also, Enter the Chat as Twitter. Check that out. If you're listening to the audio version, go watch the YouTube version. Leave a like and a comment because that'll help a lot. But it's been fun. We're gonna try and do one of these a week. We should probably iterate that we used to do other videos on this channel. The issue became that I got very busy and I was the only editor. Okay, so I don't got that kind.
You were so good.
I don't got that kind of time. Okay, so we're just doing the podcast. Okay.
Yeah, we're just doing a podcast for now. If any other videos end up being happening, it'll just be on me and Tony's time, which more than likely probably won't happen. So the only other times you'll see us is either podcasts or if Kneeckoh wants to exploit us on his channel for views and have us on as guests.
But if you want anything else from me, I talk Switch and maybe I'll make fun of PlayStation some in a future video. But that is gonna be it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts. What are you most excited for? Are you excited for Breath of the Wild? Are you excited for God of War? Do you understand what I'm saying when I say they look samey? Okay, they look similar.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it's a legitimate question. Okay, it's a legitimate question. Let me tell you. Okay, it's a legitimate question.
Yeah, do you think they look the same, or do you think there's enough difference to say yes, they're different games?
I'm not saying they're not different games, okay? It's not what I'm saying. But thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Later.